My name's Necro, and today we're going to be covering how to set up and use your character strategies as part of my how-to series. So here we can see that I have 3 strategies here that I can use. This is unlocked via the VIP progress that you can get on your character. So the more VIP you have, the more of these you unlock, up to a maximum of 3. This is quite cool. You want at least 2. That way you can swap between the 2 tiers, the 2 tech trees that you have here, which is development and war. So you want to have 1 for development and at least 1 for war. Ideally, if you unlock 3, you'll see that I will use 2 for war, and I'll show you why in a moment. The first one we're going to start off with is development, as I feel that for most of you this is going to be the most appropriate. You obviously want to develop your bases, you want to develop your character, and this is the best way to go about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this one here, and I'm going to reset it so that we can go through this together. So obviously you'll start off by putting points into Master of Construction here. This just increases your build speed, which is a nice little bonus that you can get. Want to put all 5 into that. Next we're going to go into Magus 1, which increases your research speed. And you can see that even if I just put 1 in, I have to complete this to be able to move on to the next one. Which brings us on to Canticle of the Omnisire. This is a really cool ability. It says immediately grants a lump sum of resources. Now, what it doesn't state here, but it will state in the other character screen, which I'll show you in a moment. It says immediately grants a lump sum of resources. Now what this ability actually does is it gives you 6 hours worth of your base production instantly, which can easily be upwards of 300,000 of each resource depending on how you have your base configured. So that's that one there. Now we have a choice here. We can either go with fuel refinery or metal refinery gear. Now what this does is it increases the production and capacity of either the metal or fuel by a percentage. Now, I personally have a lot more metal refineries in my base, so I'm going to go with this one here. Now, what you want to take into account is the second option in this choice, which will increase the collecting speed of either metal or, in the top one, fuel. Now, because metal is probably the most used resource, it's the most required for specifically the Administratum outpost, which uses a huge amount of metal compared to any other structure, and the prevalence of it in all of your buildings, your battle barge and your units. I'm going to go with metal here. I'm going to max this metal out. I want to collect this stuff as fast as possible. Now you can always go back and move into this one here, and I think that is better than going all the way through, as some of these late ones here, like Master Warden, immune to plundering for a short amount of time, I don't think is very valuable, and I don't think it's worth the investment when I'd much rather collect fuel faster than potentially be protected against plundering. Now obviously some of you won't be as protected in your alliances, so this could be useful for you, especially during a kill event, but for me personally, I don't value that very highly. Now, warehouse capacity, unfortunately this is a mandatory one, so I will take this. This just increases your warehouse capacity by 10%, which has its uses. Now, Reinvigoration is a cool one. Immediately restores AP. This gives you 50 AP, 1 use, which is really cool. It helps you farm a lot better, really useful when farming night gear. Now we have the choice between adamantium, metal, and fuel. So obviously, moving back onto this one here, we're going to go with metal. We're going to max metal out again as much as possible. Now we're on to Master of Logistics. This is a really nice one. Increases the load, which means you can mine more at once. Lovely. Master of Construction increases our build speed. We want that. We want to be building our buildings faster. Again, it's mandatory. This is a really cool one. Servitor Overload temporarily increases collecting efficiency. This increases the collecting efficiency of all of your armies that are out collecting by 100% for 2 hours. Really useful tool. Really useful. Now, here we are again, choosing between fuel or metal. So again, I'm going to go with metal. Some of you guys might prefer fuel, but I think metal is the better choice. Now here, we have the option of going for Magus, and then we have adamantium and plasma processing. This will lead us on to Master of Machines and then Master of Logistics. Now once I get to Master of Logistics here, I will probably stop. I probably wouldn't go any further personally, that to me is kind of where I draw the line in going through here. I don't want to unlock these two here. I'll probably go back and move on to fuel. So I'm going to put into Magus. And I'm not going to go with plasma here. I'm going to go with adamantium. There we go. Put that in there and put my last point in. So I still need to unlock a little bit more here. I'm only character level 31, I believe, so a bit of a delay there. But that's absolutely fine. Now we're going to go on to the fun one. War. We all love this. This is 40k. We love war. So, start off with Expert Navigator. This is really good. Attack hostiles march speed increased by plus 3% per level. Increases march speed when attacking chaos. Perfect. Purge the heretic. Now we have an option. Prayer of Hatred 1 or Wrath of the Ancients. Now I actually have a second war here. So I have this one here, which is increasing my Dreadnought attack. And it goes through and basically just focuses on my Dreadnoughts. This one I'm going to do a little bit differently. So, as you know, I value Dreadnoughts and Vanguards very, very highly. And I always like to go Dreadnoughts. But I don't actually want to increase their attack, because Dreadnoughts attacking isn't actually that good. They are basically just meat shields. But I want my Vanguards to attack more, because I want, with Sicarius and Shrike in my armies, which I often have, my Vanguards are already doing a bunch of damage, and this adding an extra 5% is huge. So I'm going to go with increased Vanguard Veteran attack. Next up, Precognitive Navigation. Very good ability. Instantly recalls all of your marching forces in 3 seconds. Amazing ability. Really, really good tactically as well. Okay, so next up we have Vanguard Veteran Defense or Dreadnought Defense. And that moves on to the head HPs for either Dreadnoughts or Vanguard Veterans. Now, our Vanguard Veterans shouldn't ever really be attacked. It should only ever be our Dreadnoughts dying. If all of our Dreadnoughts die, we're just going to lose our Vanguards anyway. So we want to just buff up our Dreadnoughts here. Next up, we have Rite of Proficiency 1. Increases the training speed of our units. So we want to max that out. There we go. Sons of Guilliman. Temporarily increases army size limit. With this ability, gives you for 1 hour the ability to increase your army by 10%. Really cool ability. So here we have a couple of choices. We can either go with buffing Primaris, Predators, or Whirlwinds. Now what I do here is, because it then goes on to defense and HP, I tend to go for the unit that's most likely to get damaged. Now, Primaris Hellblasters attack twice before Predators and or Whirlwinds attack, and they do actually cause, within those 2 attacks, more damage on average than Predators and Whirlwinds. So I'm gonna take the Primaris. They also will die before either the Predators or the Whirlwinds, so by buffing their defense and their HP slightly, it's adding a little bit more of a buffer between my Predators and my Whirlwinds. So next up, we're on to Expert Navigator 2. Again, increasing our march speed against chaos. Very cool. Now we're on to one of my favourite abilities in the game. This is Veterans Call, and it immediately grants a certain number of units. Now this is really abusable, because what this does, this gives you 50 units based on your highest tier. So whatever and if you have multiple units at the same tier, then it will give you just a random set of 50 of those. Now if you manage to upgrade your Dreadnought barracks up to a certain point, and none of your others are at that point, every single Veterans Call you do use until your other barracks catch up will be Dreadnoughts. So I use this to gain a huge amount of Dreadnoughts when I got my Dreadnoughts to tier 7. So we're going to take that. So now we're on to Vanguard Veterans again and Dreadnoughts. Now this one's an awkward one. So this gives you defense and HP again, but we want to be buffing our Dreadnoughts, so I have to take Wrath of the Ancients here to get this extra HP and defense on my Dreadnoughts. But what we can do later is we can come back and get this attack here. So I'm going to take these ones here, increasing my Dreadnoughts again. Now we're on to emergency operations. Probably, I'd argue this is probably the best strategy in the game. I think this is very, very strong. So what this does is, when you first use this for 2 hours, the first fleet that you send out to attack will only ever get injured. None of those units will die. They will all become injured. Now, if your hospital capacity is low or full, they will die. But when you send out an offensive force, it will not automatically die, it will become injured, which is insane. This is absolutely beautiful, especially when rallying against large targets. Very, very strong ability. I'll cover it a little bit more later. So I have 15 points left. Now, I want to work up to Psychic Distortion for increasing march time when enemies march against you. I think that's very, very strong. Field Medic immediately heals some injured soldiers. From the information I have from the guys on server 1, this really doesn't do much, and isn't really worth moving towards. There's some cool abilities here just with increasing my Predators, Whirlwinds, and Primaris HP and defense, and the training speed increase, which I think is good. We also have more attack here on those units. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move back, and I'm going to spend 10 points on my Vanguard Veterans, because I want their attack to be as absolutely disgusting as possible. And then I have 5 points left over, so then I will spend them here, just moving up again. Just because I'd value getting this 10% Vanguard Veteran attack before getting to the rest of these. So I'm going to take Expert Navigator next, and I'm happy there. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.